I was mentioning about I was at a point that it was either Nebraska or it was somewhere up north from Ohio, and I can't explain it except for, remember I told you it felt like I was opening up my heart when I came back from, actually it was over here in Connecticut or New Jersey, somewhere in that area. When I came back from Las Vegas, first time I went there, and then I kind of cleansed myself. But I felt like I came back with a heart that was broken, and I laid it out on the table and learned about what was in it and stuff, and that's what you see through my other YouTube channel. For some reason, it seemed that going around the whole coastline of the United States, by the time I was up, it was Nebraska, is it Colorado that's beside, I forget. I have to look at the map because I just never went up in that area. But it felt like this, like it was, like you ever see those doors like on Star Trek or on Star Wars or whatever, they go, shoo. I'm not kidding you. Out of nowhere, it felt like that's what happened with around my heart. And instantly I thought to my mind, my heart had been opened up, washed out, cleaned up, and it healed. In a sense, though things did not turn out the way that I would have hoped, everything that I've been working on for the last 19 or 20 months was a healing process because of everything that I've been through in life. It was a cleansing process. And one of the things that I used to talk about for years, probably as a kid when my dad used to take us on vacation and stuff, and he drove truck, I always told him I want to travel. I always knew that I did, and when I got involved in music, or even back in the days, which I don't want to do it that way with driving truck or anything, but excuse me, I'm starting to get tired. But can I tell you that I knew it was always in my heart, I want to travel. Before I used to want to see the world, not anymore. Sorry world, I don't want to see you, but I still, if I were to be alive, I would want to probably travel the United States. You know, whether it's doing what I love or doing something that I love, obviously, it would, but exactly the way everything came about, unfortunately, and and I'm thinking to myself, I wish I would have had more time, and it wasn't about seeing the sights and seeing the tourist attraction. It was just doing what I love to do the best, or do the most. Music, talking, hanging out, getting to know people. I know you say, well, that's it, you got to have a job. Well, believe it or not, I used to have a very well-paid job being a musician, and that's exactly what I did. Is I would go to people's homes and get to know them and stuff. So I played at venues. Obviously, I didn't play on the street. Unfortunately for me, the whole time that I'm traveling, I'm thinking to myself, I like living in the hotel rooms. It's nice to have a home base. It's nice to have a place where you can actually record or call home and you have a family that loves you or whatever. But it's also nice to, there's something to be said about jumping in a vehicle and taking off and driving down the road for a while and then getting to do what you love to do. It is not for everybody. There's something inside of me that I can only stay at one place for so long. And I've noticed that when I was in a hotel room, that I would think to myself, if I could go to a major city point and stay there for about 6 days or so, and if I was a musician per se, that I would do shows in that area for a week or so, a week or two, and then move on to the next city and then do it, rather than, I know bigger names or whatever, they just go to stadiums and they're all over the place and they're dancing around. But at my level, at what I was doing at that time, I thought to myself, boy, that would be really nice. And then whether I do have any kind of time off or what have you in between the shows in the mornings and stuff, I still have opportunities to network and make friends and and experience life, and even the heartaches that go involved in that. I get to live and do things in life that I love. It was a wonderful experience, and I would thought to myself, it would be not a lot nicer if I was making profit rather than going into debt doing it. And then I started thinking, what kind of jobs would be there that, like if somebody that was really cool had some kind of career, and they were like, I need somebody to be in Austin, Texas from this date to this date, and you do whatever you do. I mean, that's a dream, that's a fantasy world, but then what I do in my free time is I go out with my music and I hang out with all the musicians and get to meet people and network, and who knows what happens, but you just go about life. But obviously I would rather probably do it with music. I've never really understood how in the world to do that. I guess I was on my way before. Obviously I was playing several states, but I was doing cover songs and I changed my whole image. So it's a lot different as a transsexual lady, and I can deal with that. But I can't deal with the fact that everybody in the world thinks that I've crossed paths with, because I want to be careful how I say that, not everybody in the world. It seems to me that more so than not, that the people I've encountered relationships with have an ideal of life, and it's thrust upon everyone else around them, and they look at it like what's right for them is right for them, and it should be your way of life too. And the things in life that I'm passionate about is nothing but games in a fairyland of, fantasy land. Yeah. I know much differently, just because I haven't achieved any of that, because my desire wasn't to start off, a music business, but it was to do what I basically did. I kind of pat myself on the back. I didn't do it because I had a contract. I didn't do it because somebody paid me money at all. In fact, I went through the process with, more so than not, people bombarding me and beating me up mentally, making my life more miserable than it ever needed to be. It was most certainly the most challenging and hardest thing that I have ever done in my life. All the years rolled into one. That means all the rapes, all the beatings I used to receive in elementary school. I can go on and on. This was the hardest. I am blown away. When you really look at it, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, I have a video of me in my diapers singing. Okay, I wear lingerie. Whoop-de-doo. Let me tell you something. People really get flown off the handle. They just can't handle it. And then what it is what I learned in the long run, a lot of it's jealousness and bitterness. I'm a free spirit. I can't live in a little shell that society's powerful people have created, and us as a society have been foolish enough to live inside of. Most of us, anyway. And I take the consequences for that. People in power don't have to do anything to me, because all of us who are fighting amongst ourselves down here are beating people up for enjoying their freedom. If you think we were brought to this earth so we could be a slave, you got it all wrong. It's the opposite. But it becomes very obviously, especially as we grow older, that to most of us, we've been tricked into slavery. So I got to do pretty much everything, and I realized through the process, understand this, very frustrated because, I'm homeless, living on a credit card. I have tried everything I could up to this point in dealing with people, living with people, trying to get jobs. Let me tell you something, it consumes you and overwhelms you. You get stuck at the bottom of the barrel. That's all you're doing all day long, is trying. And it's not just me, or transsexuals or LGBT, it's the world at large, people at large, especially here. And you will realize, I thought to myself, and I'm going to say this very clearly, I realize things much differently than the name of this country. I don't see it as united. I see it as very territorial in many aspects, in many ways. And I'm not just talking about in the small relationships that I had. If a person's homeless, they're homeless. When you go to a lot of different states, even within Ohio, the bottom line is they don't want to help anybody that doesn't call this land home. And what they mean by that, not the United States, but Ohio. Or if you're in Florida, or if you're in Utah, or if you're in North Carolina, wherever you are. Is this your home? Well, we're not going to help somebody who doesn't call this home. How long have you lived here? Oh, you're just passing through, maybe? You're just passing through. How about I'm a United States citizen? I have a heart for people, and I'm here. And everything else about my old life has been totally destroyed and thrown away anyway. And can I tell you that even like getting things like a food card, there's a lot of people who are against it, but until you fall flat on your face, you don't realize how important having that food card is. And a lot of people don't realize that the whole reasoning for making sure that you have a said place called home in whatever state you get that, something like the food card or your financial resources, you will find out that that's their way of keeping you prisoner, whether it's on their city streets, in a building, in your own home, whatever. They don't want people getting out and roaming around the country trying to get their life together. You're going to use their resources. You got to stay right here. And that's what I've learned, is it's bad enough that a person goes through what they go through and they, for whatever reason, you can say their choices. But in the end, obviously if they need food assistance and financial assistance or whatever is there available and readily, just because they're not in that state and they're trying to, some people may call them floaters, gypsies, whatever, but they're making their way around trying to survive. And meanwhile, everything else is being canceled because this isn't your home anymore. You left. That's exactly what I went through when I lived at the place I did in Huber Heights. If I went away for 2 days, what was it? Did she move? Listen, when I had my own apartment, there was times I was gone for 3.5, 6 months. And then I returned. If I was touring or whatever, the whole world, there might be times I'd be gone for 2 years. A home's a home. Or it's not. I'm really tired, so I don't want to get too heavy about this. But can I just say that traveling the United States, I learned really quickly that this country should be called territorial states. It's almost like being in 50 different countries in a lot of different ways, and I'm not trying to insult anything, but it really is. All these rules, laws, regulations, and if this doesn't match with this match, and you are really floating around because you're trying to get your life together and you can't seem to do it right, for whatever reason. But now you got to worry about if you're fortunate to have a car, you got to worry about where it's registered and the license plate, and all the laws are different in each state, and you got to pay a lot of money to have it transferred to do whatever. Or with your driver's license, then you got to, if you're going to be gone for X amount of time, then you need to change that because you need the right address of wherever it is. But if you don't have a home, how do you have an address? Well, you better find one. Can I just say I'm staying at this tree or underneath this bridge? And right now I can't really go off and be funny about it, but I can just say to you that it has been an extremely frustrating experience realizing that. And when it comes down to helping, people want to know that right away. Where are you from? What does it? Where am I from doesn't matter. Where I am is what matters. You know, people ask a ridiculous question all the time. So where are you from? The same place you are. You know? Are you talking about 2 seconds ago? What are you talking about? And I'm not just saying in everyday conversation. I'm just saying in general. And where's your home? Your home is wherever you are. You know, if I had a home, I sure as heck would not be kicked out of it. And there's so many things that I want to say about that. With just the laws, rules, and regulations and things like that. There's so many different things that could be done. I understand the need to have some kind of foundation where people can find you if they need you because there's something you did wrong and the law wants to chase you down or whatever. You should have to keep some kind of tabs. But in the end, realistically, when a person falls homeless, where's the last time that you heard, I'm a United States citizen? You know, and also being in the music business and stuff like that, it really puts a knife. You know, it just sticks a knife in your heart because people are just like so ridiculously territorial. Well, if you're not from here and you haven't lived here for so long, you know, you're not going to get any of the help that one would need or whatever. And they have all these excuses over it. It's just, how long have you lived here? Have you lived here for 20 or 30 years? I lived here my whole entire life. It's an ego issue. Doesn't matter if you lived here for a second or if you lived here for 1,000 years. You live wherever you are, and this land has been divided into sections, but this land is this land. It's either a land of freedom or it's not. And obviously we realize it's not. And it's very territorial. So they ought to call them territories, not united. I lost my food cards, by the way, because I wasn't here in Ohio. And they couldn't pick up a phone and give me a call and leave a message. Please, Tracilyn, get back to us as soon as possible. We know you're homeless. They sent a letter, though, to an address that is my mailing address. But I'm roaming around the United States trying to get my life together. Now my food card's been canceled. Now what do? And I'll tell you what you do. You go right downtown to wherever you are, and they say the same thing. Well, where are you from? Well, where's home? Oh, you're homeless? Well, you can't be that here in the United States. Because we're very territorial about that. It's just ridiculous. Go down to the church and let the pastor brainwash you for about an hour about this false god, and then maybe you'll be able to have a blessing of a meal, out of a can. Sounds good, right? Learn to be thankful for that can. So my heart healed, and the reason why that was is because despite the circumstances and the way it happened and the battlings that I had to go through, in the end I did everything I wanted to do, and I learned that I don't want to do a lot of other things too that I used to think of, because in the end it's not simply worth going through all the hassle and all the heartaches and all the pain and frustration. When I used to think about traveling the world, I never thought that I would be doing it on a credit card, going into debt and losing everything that I have, including people who said that they loved me. I would assume that one would probably see their self doing it much differently, myself included. The street is not a place to me. I'm too sensitive of a spirit. And I am a spirit that appreciates being pampered. Whether I'm pampering myself because I can or somebody else does. That's just me. That's how I am. I never went to Cub Scouts or Brownies and learned anything about survival like that. It was never in my heart to do that. I'm an entertainer. I do other things. I'm not saying that I shouldn't have. But for me to end up on the streets, I'd rather just fall off a bridge. And that's what I believe I'm worthy of, for believing a lot of the foolish stuff that I learned in Christianity and religion and stuff. You know, something I want to say about this with this SRS, when I was out there in Vegas, I ended up meeting one of the sweetest guys that I've ever met. And we ended up talking, and he actually had such a big heart that he appeared to want to help me get my career started or what have you. I haven't really figured out, except for at that time I realized I'm going to have to hide absolutely everything possible about myself and just live my life as Tracilyn. It's going to be a very boring, very dull career. I mean, this is the way I see it, especially if I'm not doing my own music. But it will be something that, more so than anything, if I'm going to live, I need to be able to have my own money and be able to take care of myself. And I know a lot of people know that feeling to be a dependent really stinks. I can't imagine what it would be like to be a dependent with somebody who like really, really loves you and wants you to enjoy your life and be who you are, kind of thing. I don't know what that would be like. I don't think anybody on this planet knows what that's like. At some point on my way back down from Nebraska, I was heading down here to Ohio, and a really cute guy started wanting to send me texts. So, you know, sometimes some of you may have experienced this, where people are trying to get your phone number, they're showing you the cell phone kind of thing. And I really wasn't in the mood for that. But I have done it before. I don't mind giving my number. I'm very open about things. I give my phone number to whoever. I'm not afraid of any of that stuff, but I know that, you know, I'm a transsexual and I have an outie. There ain't no sense in playing games. I already know what's going to happen. You know, I have plenty of experience at this. The odds of him really being into me are slim to none. You know, maybe more so because we're on the road and things like that. But I was nervous about it because I'm just really tired. I drove the whole way from Las Vegas to Ohio with no sleep. The only time I pulled over was to use the restroom to get myself a coffee or drink, or no, what did I say? To use the restroom to get a drink, or to get gas. That's it. I drove the whole way over here. It was the first time I did it. It was like a natural high. It was a wonderful, wonderful feeling. It felt like you were in a whole nother world. And then I got to see this cute guy on the way down, and I was so tired and stuff that I just kind of just motioned to him. I smiled and said no. But he bugged me for a while, tried to get me to pull off the off-ramp. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what, right now in this day right now, I just want so bad to just do that and have that experience, that wham bam, and get out of there. And can I tell you, I was thinking about it, and then at some point I ended up going to a rest area and saying that if that opportunity would ever come my way again during this drive, I guarantee you I would. And can I tell you? It did. I got out of my car at that rest area and there was a guy standing right beside my car. He was very attracted to me. And can I tell you, we were talking for a while. I bummed a cigarette from him. And yes, me who don't smoke, I bummed a cigarette because I don't care anymore. You can hear it in my voice. I just don't care. You know. And next thing he started telling me, we were talking about the drive and stuff like that, and he had nice strong hands, and told me that he could give me a massage or what have you. So, of course, I went and got myself ready, got my makeup on and stuff, because I was getting ready to come back here anyway. And I met him down at his truck, and I'm telling you this, but I'm not telling you who it was or this, that, and the other, so nobody's going to know. But we ended up getting into his truck, and I made out with him, and we did some foreplay stuff, And of course he wanted to go all the way, but I made up a lie. I figured if everybody else in the world is going around lying about everything, why not me? You see, what I've realized in that moment is more so than not, people are hiding their real truths of who they are. Because human nature is the same in everybody. And what they're doing is they're going out and they're deceiving everybody to get... I'm not saying everybody's doing this, but more so than not, people are deceiving other people to get what it is that they want. They will lie, they will cheat, they will invade your privacy. What is it that they're willing to do to get whatever they want? And people are calling me selfish. I'm being honest and doing what I can to try to lift up people's spirits. What you see is what you get. If anything, someone should be excited to be my friend, not the opposite. Somebody should be excited to be my lover, not the opposite. They know I'm going to be faithful and loyal. I have nothing to hide. I'm going to open up and tell them everything. I've learned my lesson with that. Don't be so certain that if I were to stay alive that I would. You see, one thing I've learned about being on the street is if you're going to survive, then you need to take that book that these preachers go around preaching about. You need to light a match to it and forget it. Because that's just setting you up for a life of failure. That's not the real world. The real world is people putting on costumes and walking out the door. That's their stage. They get behind closed doors are totally different. That's why they got all their different accounts with different usernames, different pictures. Why they don't show their faces in the pictures. Frightened to death to be who they are. All because the almighty powerful ones had a master plan and set it up and it worked great. We're so scared to be ourselves now, to be truthful and honest, have relationships, talk to our neighbors, because we have been programmed to separate, divide and conquer. You know, there isn't no, I'm a United States citizen. It's a, do you live in Ohio? Do you live in this township? Do you live on the city block? Okay? And you don't know that until you end up on the streets and you start having to survive. And you're at the mercy and dependency of everyone around you. You don't know these things in most situations. So that was an amazing experience. So guess what? I'm not going to tell you what I told him. But I got my way out of that one. And I said maybe we'll see each other again sometime. And I left. And I laughed. And I said to myself, you know what? I know I'm a lady. He knew I was a lady. But because of a body part, lack of education, understanding, ignorance, it would have been a whole other experience. If he were to discover that, there's a good possibility, like some of the girls, he would have mutilated me. Why? I guarantee you that before all this stuff went down, and I am like tired now, and all this stuff that I've been enduring and going through, I know that I'm more lady than a lot of people that I ended up crossing paths with. Or just as much of a lady. But I would say more so. Femme spirit. I was doing the very best I could to be my very best. I'm not saying I did great all the time, or that I'm not comparing and saying I'm better than anyone else. I'm just saying more lady. That's why I'm very attracted to a gentleman. There's a difference between a boy, a man, and a gentleman. And an a-hole. I'm attracted to a gentleman. Somebody who knows how to treat people in general, including himself. But in this counter, it was very, it wasn't one-sided. It wasn't totally selfish. I gave him what he wanted. He wanted more, and I had to put up boundaries. But I'll tell you what, when I left there, I realized in my head. The guy I was out in Las Vegas, I don't know how I stumbled all over this, but basically, he was going to help me. And it was a night that I was extremely tired, like I am now. And I'm pretty much getting tired of explaining myself to new people one-on-one. I wish I could have a foundation of a home, and I'm tired that I don't have to keep explaining everything all over again. People have a lot of questions, and it's great. But that's why I'd rather just do music and be a public speaker. You have a whole lot of questions of the same thing. Go watch the videos. Go figure it out. If it's that important to you. I had to figure everything out on my own. A lot of this stuff, even within the community, is nothing but illusion of lies. I'll be the first to say that. I had to stumble and fall and figure things out so many times with the information that's been given to me. It's unreal. You know, I'm blown away by it. But they asked me, well, why is it that you go around telling everybody that you're transsexual? I don't want to have to keep explaining that. I don't need to explain it. I've come to the point in my life that I don't go around telling everybody. I tell the people who I feel are going to be closest to me. And right here's the answer. Because I'm tired of losing everything I have because people are stupid. Alright? Get educated. I'm no different than anybody else. And I'm probably one of the best friends you could ever have and someone you could trust. I'm tired of going through that. And obviously, that's pretty much what I said to her. And boy, that didn't stop me there. I just went on. I don't want to keep explaining things. And then they had the nerve to tell me, well, they have Hollywood friends that nobody could ever tell, you know, that they're transsexual, they're doing whatever. And I laughed at her. And I said, that is your ego talking. That is nothing but ego. I don't care how great looking of a girl it is. And yes, there are a small percentage of transsexual women. Usually they get started on their hormones at a very young age. You know, probably like right after their menstrual cycle starts. And, okay, they transition perfectly. Okay? I didn't even get started until in my 30s, number one. And a lot of the girls don't even get started till they're older than that. I had no idea what was going on with me. I'm very fortunate. But I already know that it doesn't matter how wonderful your illusion of being a genetic girl is. The bottom line is, if somebody finds out or somebody knows, it's gonna spiral you down so quick. And you don't know until you walk in the feet. So when I hear people say foolish things like that, I really do gotta laugh. You know? Ego. Acting like an idiot. As if they could do any better. So that small percentage of girls that are out there, I applaud. I'm fully aware that there are some transsexuals that they're the perfect size, shape, and everything else that goes along with it, and they look great. And they also had support of other people, and they also had money. Whether it came from other people or it came from their self before they transitioned, one way or another, it happened. Okay? Because we all know that money is what it costs to be able to go through it. It's a very expensive process to go through your transition. I don't care who you are. It's very expensive. And that's wonderful to hear that, and that's exactly what I told her. You know, I'm not them. I'm Tracilyn. And I don't have enough time to sit here and explain to you why I do what I do right now. You know, I don't want to make it about that. So, you know, I've learned in life that you better believe it. When I first came out here, all I wanted to do is start my life being Tracilyn. I didn't want to go through it. But I also found out immediately that when people do find out through other sources, and there's a lot of loud mouths in my life, They want to make sure everyone knows. Oh yes, make sure everybody knows. Especially the ones that, I don't want to break hearts, but there's been some people very close to me that evilness and bitterness get you nowhere. And they will be the first ones. They love that, to be able to go around outing other girls who have been blessed to blend in a little bit differently, you know? So after somebody who has lost everything and went through a lot of situations, I do what's best for me. I don't care what other people do. I really don't. So anyway, what ended up happening is I went off and I didn't stop, and either he hung up, I think it was a guy, yeah, either he hung up or vice versa, I did. Because I wasn't in the mood that day, and obviously like I'm tired now, and I just get so tired of egos freaking talking about stuff, you know. I was fine and on my way too until everything went chaotic and exploded in my face, and you know, not everybody has the same life journey. You know, I have different things that we go through. But I also realized, like in situations like this, more so than not, I would not have to tell anybody. And how wonderful it would be when I see a cute guy passing by in a car with a text, to have a moment with him right there on the spot. I miss out on a lot of things, a lot of moments that could be absolutely gold to me because of a body part. And I have to double check, are you okay with that? And despite what anybody else thinks, there's no reason why if I had the surgery I would have to tell anybody. I am a girl. If you can't deal with that, that's your problem, not mine. I know who I am, I know what I am, and I'm far from being anyone's idea of who a human being should be, obviously. So that happened. That was a great experience. The second time around, I grabbed hold of it. And I've realized, you know, be like everybody is to you, Tracilyn. Lie about everything. Hide things. Don't tell anybody anything. Make up stories. Well, why can't I get in your pants? Well, you know, you make up stories. Why not? I mean, that's what evidently that's what the world's showing me. Pretend to be something you're not when you're outside the door, put on a costume, and then lie about everything to get everything that you want without regards to other people's feelings. So after that journey, I started feeling like I was healed and ready with a new vision. I'm not going to give away that vision. It would just be something that I make, and because obviously I know if I talk out loud even now, it's just going to be people stealing ideas, using them, and what have you. Got to do my own thing, you know, and now I have to even be quiet in the privacy of my own home, wherever that is, here in a hotel room right now, out on the street, or wherever I am. The problem is I have no resources. I don't have any finances, and I don't have a home. It's going to take a long time to get your life together, let alone if you don't have a home. You know, there's been times, I might have talked about this earlier, but there's been time with people who have resources and they're just very selfish with it. I couldn't even imagine that if I met somebody and I got to meet them and hear them and know that they're going through a hard time, to not offer them a helping hand in getting their life together. But I got to say, especially since I've been out here in Ohio, it's been constant. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings out here in Ohio, but that's the way it is for me. My life experience. It wasn't necessarily that way in Pennsylvania, but also, you know, I must say that, you know, it was before I came out. I actually had connections and stuff. Coming out as a transsexual lady is really put a bonker in everything. I'm not driven to even try anything if people are just going to be like that. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous because they treat you totally different. Obviously, I'm showing that people will treat you differently simply just because they know what's in your pants. It's none of their business, really, but, you know, I really wish that it could have got straightened out for me just so I could have a semi-social kind of life, you know? Finances I've been trying to raise. Unfortunately for me, I was hoping that I could do it more as an organization type thing and start to raise and expand, but it's very unfortunate for me. None of that stuff ever worked out. So, I learned when I came into Dayton, Ohio, I only have like a few minutes left here, that as I started coming down Interstate 75 and I was coming around to get onto 35 and I seen Dayton, it was at nighttime and the lights were on, I cried for the first time in anywhere of the United States because I knew in my heart that I missed Ohio. That's why I know I love Ohio, and Ohio is my home in my heart. I gotta admit, I didn't like the home that I was living in. I just didn't. And even though I was back there and you know, I may consider being back there again. To me, it's like stepping into a prison willingly. I really do love Ohio, and I most certainly wouldn't mind living here if I was busy doing all the things in life that I love and trying to earn a dollar, you know, making money with what I do and stuff. I probably never want to leave except for to go travel and do my thing, you know, but I would never want to move out. I love Indian Lake, and I never really gave Ohio a full chance. You know, I never really got to see a lot of the wonderful things because I was kind of cornered in. You know, I really was. I'm not making excuses. I have so much I could share about that. But I was kind of like my own little slave, and not my slave, but some other people's slave in a home, and scared to death to even live with anybody anymore. People, don't open up your home if you just want to enslave people. You know? If you want to do that, get involved in BDSM or something. Put an ad out there. There's people out there that would love it. Opening up your home to say you're going to help somebody and you don't make your expectations. You kick them out in a few days or a few hours. That's just ridiculous. You know? I would never in a million years think of doing something like that. The person would meet obligations, and if they, you know, for whatever I expected, they already know right up front. And if they act like idiots, that's different, you know. But yeah. I loved Ohio, and I knew it instantly then, but not where I lived. And I gotta say that I even got to the point that I wasn't thankful anymore where I lived. I was manipulating my mind because of Joyce Myers and watching these ministries to be thankful, but in the long run, I can honestly say I was not thankful. I was miserable. This is about ready to go off, and I think I'm going to stop here because we got a lot to talk about, and I'm getting tired. So more video footage tomorrow, okay, guys?